Welcome to this opportunity to explore your breathing and how we can create greater expansion in the body. My name is Dangerfield. I'm a nervous system specialist and I teach breathwork. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the concepts of capacity and resilience and how we can use our breathing pattern with a conscious awareness to expand. So we've previously discussed in our videos that we have 3 diaphragms of breath. We have the pelvic floor, the rib cage, and the throat. And these 3 diaphragms control how air moves into the lungs and then how the diaphragms move breath through the organ spaces. So today we're going to explore a powerful technique that's called breath of fire, and that allows us to create expansion down through into the lower diaphragm and all the way up into the top of the lungs in the highest part of the rib cage. Before we explore that technique, I want to talk a little bit about the nervous system. And so touched upon the idea that the nervous system has 2 branches, has the activating branch and the relaxing branch, and that they're directly related to our inhale and our exhale. So our rhythm of breath is controlling the nervous system, which is also impacting our glands, our endocrine system, and changing our blood chemistry. So today we're going to practice a technique that has a really powerful impact on our blood chemistry. And as I like to remind you, you're your greatest teacher, so it's really important that you listen really deeply to yourself. Some things to consider when we practice the breath of fire today is as we increase capacity and resilience, we start to find the edge of our nervous system and our endocrine system. We're creating a powerful shift in our blood chemistry, and that can lead to us feeling lightheaded or dizzy. And so a reminder that you need to listen really deeply to yourself and touch to that edge and not go beyond it. So capacity is relating directly to how much volume that we can bring into the body. That's how much volume of oxygen and how the diaphragms can move. And so our capacity of our lungs has a direct relationship to how we can show up in life. It's our capacity to be able to be with big emotions, to be able to respond to events in our lives. And I noticed that people who have a bigger lung capacity have a bigger capacity for all sorts of things in the way that they show up. Resilience relates directly to how rapidly we can return to our baseline of operating. So the idea is that we would essentially have a channel with which we would operate in. And this would be the idea of our window of tolerance. And so our resilience is how quickly we would return back into our baseline. Our capacity is how big this is. And so I might start with quite a small lung capacity when I start practicing breath work. And over time, I'm going to increase my capacity. And the resilience is how rapidly I can return to the baseline of operating if I've moved into a deep state of relaxation or a deep state of activation. So we're working directly with our nervous system with this breathing technique. And we're also working with our glands, our blood chemistry. So the technique's very simple. I'm going to describe it firstly, and then we'll go through 3 sets of practice. And so we're going to breathe in and out through the nose. And unlike the other techniques, there's a little bit of speed and volume to this one. And so we're going to start with a very relaxed belly. Just going to allow all of my stomach muscles to soften. And my exhale is going to be a pump of the stomach muscles in, which will force the exhale out through my nose. So it looks like this. So I'm contracting my stomach muscles, and at the same time, I'm lifting up through my pelvic floor. Now, to allow this to happen fluidly, we can bring both of our hands to our belly and just really allow our hands to hold our belly and soften. And then we're going to pump the belly. And so it's a practice of pumping the stomach muscles in and the pelvic floor. And what we're doing anatomically here is as we contract the stomach muscles, we force the diaphragm muscle up, which allows the oxygen to leave, the carbon dioxide to leave our body. So the pumping in of the diaphragm forces the breath out of the body. Now this is a very activating breath. So we're going to practice it initially for the first set at a slow rhythm. So we can start with both hands on our belly, And we're just going to start with an exhale. And we're just going to do 10 seconds to get used to this technique. So that's 10 seconds of the breath of fire. We're exhaling, contracting through the pelvic floor, clenching the stomach muscles, and forcing the breath out through the nose. Today we're going to practice the breath of fire, and we're going to practice initially a 1-minute exercise. Then we're going to observe the internal landscape of our body. Then we're going to practice a 2-minute exercise with an opportunity to reflect and integrate. And then finally we're going to build up to 3 minutes. And what this will allow us to do is to take time to pause and reflect, allow our resilience to move back to resting baseline. And each time we're increasing our capacity from 1 to 2 to 3 minutes. We also have an opportunity to increase our retentions at the end of each exercise. So the first time we practice the breath of fire, we're going to practice for 1 minute. And then we're going to drop into a gentle meditation with our eyes closed to observe how it's affecting our body. So this is going to have a nice gentle rhythm of breath of fire. As I mentioned, we're going to have a relaxed belly, and we're going to just pump the exhale by contracting the stomach muscles and lifting the pelvic floor. So it's a breathing in and out through the nose. So here we go. We'll close the eyes. Bring our conscious awareness to our seat, connect to the pelvic floor and the stomach muscles, and start to breathe with the rhythm of the breath of fire. And now inhaling all the way to the top, and tuck the chin and hold. And we'll contract the pelvic floor and continue to hold the breath. We're increasing our capacity. Continue to bring our awareness inside the body. Observe any sensations. And continue to hold the breath as long as it feels right for you. Notice when you start to get to your edge. And then just gently exhaling, letting all of the air out, and find a steady rhythm of breath. Continuing to keep the eyes closed, relax the shoulders, and bring your awareness inside your body. Gently opening your eyes, orientating back into your space. Have a gentle move. Stretch however you need to. And just gently observing and pausing. So now we'll begin our second set. The second set of exactly the same exercise, the breath of fire. And we'll have a retention on the end. We have an opportunity now to breathe for 2 minutes. And we can also retain for a longer amount of time when we've finished and completed the exercise. So, contraction of the belly, lifting of the pelvic floor. We'll close our eyes, bring our conscious awareness inside our body. Here we go for our second set of 2 minutes. Inhale. And let's take another little sip of breath. Hold at the top, tuck the chin, engage the pelvic floor, contract, and hold the breath. Continue to observe. Continue to hold the breath for as long as feels right for you. And exhaling, and finding a steady rhythm of breath through your nose. Eyes are closed, continuing to explore and observe the internal landscape. Noticing any fluctuations or changes you've created in your body. Becoming aware of the greater capacity. As we gently allow the breath to settle, taking a few moments to return to our baseline. And continuing to pause here and taking as much time as you need before we roll into our third and final set. So let's take a moment to open the eyes, orientate back into the space, and come back to bringing our conscious awareness to our seat as we begin now closing the eyes for our third round of the breath of fire. We're contracting the pelvic floor and the abdomen on the exhale, breathing in and out through the nose. And let's begin. And inhale. Take another little sip. Tuck the chin and hold. And our final retention, we're going to hold for as long as feels right again. And exhaling, release. On this final set, we can gently bow our head forward, taking a few moments just to observe. And opening our eyes and gently coming back into the space. And again, just moving, stretching however we need to. So there's a few variations that we can perform here. So when we're completing the final retention, we have two different options for the finish, which can really expand the body. And the first one is when we finish the breath of fire with a retention, we can bring our hands behind us to support the body, and we can open up through the chest. So it looks a little bit like this. And then a second variation is we can bring the hands up and open the chest up with a nice full extension of the spine. So again, hands are on the knees. I'm going to do a 1, 2, or 3 minute breath of fire. And then to finish and to expand and extend, increase my capacity, I'm going to bring my hands up and open. So it looks like this. And exhaling. Observing and being gentle with ourselves as we come back out into our space. This final exercise you'll find is incredibly powerful, and inviting you to be very, very careful with this one. It's very activating after a breath of fire, and I have on occasion passed out and indeed fallen over backwards. So being very mindful when we're opening up our hands in our chest to ensure that we've got a soft pillow behind us, or that we lean slightly forward if we start to feel a little dizzy or faint. And we'll bring our hands back down to our knees. And we can always just gently bring our head forward and rest here. So this is a really powerful way for us to increase both our lung capacity and our resilience, which is going to increase our capacity and our resilience in our life. Thank you for joining me today for this curious exploration into the power and gentleness of our breathing and how we can increase our capacity and resilience.